you ready for some mayhem? I'm Charlie.
And I'm Corey.
And this week we will be discussing Lady Gaga's latest album, Mayhem, a bit later than we were probably planning to discuss it, but we've had plenty of time to digest this album, so I'm glad that we're doing it now.
Yeah, man. Plenty to digest, but yeah, we had a little extra time than we planned on, and it works out for the better on this one for me.
I agree, because Lady Gaga always likes to come at us with a concept. That's how she is, so it can take some time to piece together, and so I'm glad that we had the extra time, and we can dive into this the best that we can, because I think Gaga needs that extra time sometimes.
Yeah, especially an outing like this, an outing that to paraphrase, the Lady Gaga, it's something that's coming straight from the heart. She's doing her here. There's so many awesome quotes by her on this, but it all comes down to like, I'm gonna be free inside of my music, and she sure gives us a showing here that lets us dissect that thought.
That she does, and kind of has come out at an interesting time for Lady Gaga, because she's been around a while now. At this point, she's a pop institution, with her first album having come out now 17 years ago. That's crazy to think about.
Wow.
But yeah, we've had 17 years with Lady Gaga now. And pop hasn't been the same since then. Mostly for the better, I would say. And this is her 7th album, and it was being teased, and it's her first pop album since 2020 and Chromatica, which we did discuss on this show. Go listen to that episode if you haven't already. And she wasn't quiet in between that time. She did 2 films, House of Gucci and Joker Folie à Deux. She did a final album with Tony Bennett, and since Joker Folie à Deux was a musical, she recorded some music for it. And of course, that ended up kind of coinciding with this album launch, and well, that did not bode the best for the beginning of the era, in my opinion, because Joker Folie à Deux was trashed pretty universally. I have not watched it. The 2 people I know who did watch it said it was horrible and one of the worst movies they ever saw.
Yeah, it's wild. As intrigued as I was about the whole premise of it, I really, it just has not made its way into me watching it, and I hear that I haven't missed anything. It's one that I'll get to, but I was so drawn to the prospect of it, and then it sort of throughout its press and the the coming up to it, it just lost its luster for me. And unfortunately, I have not seen it. Maybe fortunately, the way everybody talks about it.
And I don't think that Lady Gaga got what I don't think she got what she wanted out of it either. I did see a clip of her, Joaquin Phoenix, being interviewed about the final. They were given a question about seeing the final cut of the movie, and they just looked at each other and laughed, because it obviously, that just said what it needed to. It just wasn't what they were expecting it to be.
Yeah, it's sad. I read so much press on it too, and it seems to me, or he's pretty outright with it, but the director's like, I didn't want to make this movie. They wanted me to make it so bad that I just made something that was a farce, which is crazy because it really had the propensity to I love that story. I love the Harley Quinn and Joker story, period. I don't really mind which way you tell it. I think it's such an epic, wild love story at its very core, and it just seems like everybody wanted a different way for this to come out, and unfortunately, the final product is not what we thought it was going to be.
No, and it is a musical film, and they mostly sing standards in it. And in my opinion, I think to kind of make all the work not for nothing, Lady Gaga did put out Harlequin, which had at least solo versions of most of these songs, in addition to a couple of originals, and put it out as a jazz pop album. So similar to her work with Tony Bennett, which made sense because that was the vein of the song. She's doing stuff like Smile, That's Life, Close to You. And it came and went without a trace, pretty much, Harlequin. It just didn't do much. And I think she was ready to move on. But of course, the lead single for this album came out right after the movie, which I do think affected its performance, but we'll get to that. But just wasn't the right time. But of course, around last month, we got a second single that really set certain parts of the world on fire and got everybody pretty excited for this new album. And Mayhem reared its beautiful head a couple of weeks ago now, at the time that we're recording this. And it's been really well received. It has a Metacritic score of either 84 or 85. It's her highest rated on there. So far the most acclaimed album of her career, which that's pretty mind-blowing to have that come 17 years in. And one of your albums was already on the 500 greatest albums from Rolling Stone list. To have
Yeah.
something this acclaimed, that's crazy. And then for her to debut at number one, 219,000 units first week in 2025. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we could sit here and do these accolades all day, just because of the way it's been received. But I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but it's so beautiful to see. 17 years later, this amount of musicality, this amount of love for the game, bleeding out throughout this album.
Yes, and one really beautiful thing I'm seeing, at least in my algorithm, I'm seeing a lot of talk about this album, but as soon as the second single came out, the immediate talk was Chromatica came out in 2020, in the middle of a pandemic, a traumatic time for pretty much everyone. And the thought was Gaga got us through 2020 with Chromatica, and she's going to get us through 2025 with this album, because just the current political climate in the US is so intense right now, to put it lightly. And a lot of Lady Gaga's targeted demographic is feeling the effects of that, being that she's such a prominent LGBTQ icon. So she just means a lot to the LGBTQ plus community, period, of this past 20 years, that for her to come out with new music at this point in time does hold a greater significance for that group of people, many of them at least.
Yeah, man, she's an icon and a leader in that respect, or an icon and an ally in that respect, and it's important, especially for these groups of people, that voice is there. That voice is there, and that it's not to, no spoilers here, but that it's not a flash in the pan. That it's actually a fully structured and thought out and loved album.
Yeah. I mean, I know I personally, as a member of that community, can definitely relate to that sentiment, because I definitely felt like Chromatica was my most played of 2020. I'm like, yeah, that did get me through the year. It was a tough time being stuck inside, but you know what? At least I had this music that spoke to that. And now we have some more music to speak to that, even though she's at a different place in her life. But either way, we've got a new collection of songs from Lady Gaga, Mother Monster herself.
Yeah. And when you're looking to let the love in and let the love out and do it for the pure love of the art, what better place to go than Shangri-La, and what better producer to work with than one of my favorites of all time, and I think one that I don't even have to think, one that lends his craft, lends his genius to just doing what you love. He speaks of it. We've talked about him doing it with artists throughout. But it's cool to see her sit with Rick Rubin on this one and really get down.
Most definitely, that's because she was in his studio, though he wasn't the primary collaborator of the album. Her primary collaborators were Andrew Watt and Circuit,
Yeah.
very prominent pop producers. There's another one who, of course, we'll be talking about specifically on his featured track. And yeah, I just think it's great to see how this album's been received, and I'm honestly just so excited now. I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah, man. No, as much anticipation as we've just
Yeah.
fostered here. I'm with you. I'm ready
Yeah.
to do it.
You all can't see me. I am wearing my Lady Gaga Chromatica Ball shirt today because I'm so excited to be discussing this album.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yes. So the album begins with Disease, which was the lead single. Gaga said this was about really her inner demons. And this new single, again, I think this came out like a week after Joker 2 was released. So I thought, oh, that's a great time to put out the new single for your album. But honestly, that's such a Madonna thing to happen. Like, think 90s Madonna, you put out a bad movie and then you have a new lead single out for your music
Right.
career. Like, so I did notice that parallel. Like, we are in that territory. I do like to see that. And a lot of her fans, from what I was seeing, seem to be enjoying this song. I unfortunately didn't really love it. I kind of thought, like, this is kind of something I've heard from her before. I feel like this is the same old, same old. It's a catchy song, but it's not a lead single. And what my best friend from college, who's also a huge Lady Gaga fan, called me, and we disagreed about Chromatica, and she said, like, you're going to be really mad at me, but I do not like her new song. I said, yeah, I don't really like it either. It was like, this song is just not it. Like, I was so disappointed in it. And I still don't think it's a lead single. It's a fine, catchy song. She's done better. It did debut and peak at number 27 on the Hot 100, which was, I think, mostly because of bad timing. There wasn't as much hype for a new Lady Gaga single, but I was kind of shocked by that. But I just think that not everybody really grabbed onto this song. And she also had another huge hit out at the time that's still going strong, which we'll get to when we get to. Um, it didn't really bode too well for the album for me. I'm not gonna lie, because I just don't need the same old from her. But fortunately, that's not what happened. I do think that we go up from here. Not that this is a terrible song. It's just I expect better from Lady Gaga.
Yeah, I'm with you, and it's wild to hear you say it because I wasn't sure where you were gonna be. But first listen, I was very underwhelmed, and not because it's a bad song, and not and production's there. It it harkens back to old Gaga, um, and as I've listened to it over and over again, I almost maybe I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt, but I feel like it's almost like warming up. You know, she talks about how she was nervous, or I'm using the word nervous in a paraphrasing sense, but you know how she was fighting the demons you were talking about getting back into pop music, and this is a very, I'll use the word safe place for her. This is something we've seen from her before. There's this huge industrial feel to it for me that was a little bit off-putting as well, because she, for me, I'll speak just for me, but I think it might be for both of us. She is so up there. I hold her so high as an artist, and I look for her to constantly be evolving and showing. And this one really was like, okay, all right, we're just gonna get some more industrial disco-y Gaga. Not this one, not so much disco-y, but just industrial, like electric pop here that we've heard before. It's grown on me. I'm not as underwhelmed as I was first listen. Um, it's a great starter. That's really where I'm getting here. It's that warm up. If I'm reaching, okay, but it's that warm up, and it does its job there on this album going forward.
I agree. It's a solid warm up.
Yeah.
But and it makes sense to have something like this be the warm up for Mayhem because, well, with Mayhem that promises a lot. She even said the point of this is to be a little bit chaotic, which maybe sounded a bit disjointed at first, not gonna lie, but I don't think it will be. And we're gonna keep going with the next track, which is Abracadabra. This is the second single, and I this song premiered during the Grammys along with the video. Now, I am going to preface this first off. That day, I had a trivia final that I won a lot of money at. So I was celebrating with my partner for quite a bit afterwards. And once I got home to watch the Grammys, I probably wasn't in the best space to take in a new Lady Gaga song and video. And my first thought was like, okay, this is kind of catchy, but this is again very, like even the imagery of it was just so similar to early Gaga, which wasn't my era for her. I didn't really connect with her as much at that point in time, and we'll discuss why in a bit later, actually. But I was just kind of like, okay, this is a little. It was being said she reheated her nachos, which she was a new thing, but I kind of heard that at first. I felt like, okay, this is better than Disease, but it's kind of the same thing. But sure enough, it grew on me, and
I'm sorry, I love that.
that's what they're
That's a
saying.
perfect analogy for me for this song too. On first listen.
Yeah, but funny enough, immediately people just seem to be loving this song, and it seemed to go outside of just my algorithm. So this was funny. We live in a pretty like conservative white area, and I go to one of our local bars. I'm at one of them one day on a Monday off, and one of the bartenders at this place asks me if I liked Lady Gaga's new song, and I thought, oh shit, this song's really crossing over and resonating. This wasn't a gay bar. What? They're asking me about. So, okay, and I was saying, like, oh, it's okay for me. I really didn't like the last one, but it's better than Disease. But yeah, sure enough, it has grown on me. It's a very fun, catchy song, and it does seem to be resonating on a deeper level. It's peaked at number 12 so far on the Hot 100, but it feels a bit bigger to me, and it's great to see a Lady Gaga dance song resonate like this again. I think it's been a while since that's really happened on a wide level, because for a while, the ones that have really broken through for the most part have been her ballads, which, don't get me wrong, those are awesome, but it's nice to hear something that reminds you a bit of Bad Romance break through a bit again.
Yeah, it's this is another one where I got to it, and we didn't talk about this today on air. We talked about it prior going into it, but I went into this one totally blind. Like, didn't even watch the Saturday Night Live with her. 100% blind. So I get to this one, and first listen, it's like I've heard this before. But really, after you listen to this and you go back and third, fourth, fifth listens, this for me is almost like this weird time travel almost, where she invokes. I get a lot of Born This Way here. She invokes a lot of her old sound, the sound that we love, the Gaga stamp here. Excuse me. And really adds this new futuristic take on her music here, and it works. It really works. I have this. I've fought it down and subdued it, but it gives me the pata pata vibe a little bit, and I had to throw that away. But it really hits the nail on the head on what she's trying to do, or what she says she's trying to do here, and it fully portrays like her love of the game, and also just her mindfulness of who she is as an artist, and just always taking pieces from herself and reinventing I literally said it not more than a few minutes ago. This is what I look for from her, is constantly evolving. Even though at first glance it seemed like a reheated nacho, like you said, that's why I laughed so hard. um it's not this regurgitated mess that it seems to be at first glance. It really is an introspective look into her music. I love it. That's why I say like a time travel. I dig it. I dig it, and it works out pacing wise. This is it, man. You know, or I'll say I know where we're at as far as where I think this album is gonna just keep going at this point, and it chugs along, um, in a great sense. I dig this as a number two, and at first, I I thought I was going to hate this song.
I mean, I can see why. And I did forget to mention, so this does have an interpolation of the song Spellbound by Susie and the Banshees, which
Okay.
that's a new influence for her, that outright that we've seen on an album of hers. So I think that helps make the song a bit different. It's like we are doing something a bit different here, and I think it does bode well where we're going to be going into a lot of sounds that she's gone into before, but deeper into them is
Heard.
what I think is what we're going to get a lot of on this album. And I can get down with that. I can
Yeah.
get down with that.
Yep.
And so next up we have Garden of Eden, which Gaga said had a very 2000s throwback vibe, which I totally agree with just her saying DJ hit the lights. That right there takes you back to like some Cascada, Britney Spears stuff right there. And obviously, this has a biblical metaphor, if you couldn't tell by the title. She says about the temptation that you feel in the club, which, yeah, that can happen if you are going for a night out. That can happen. Again, this is just a really strong dance pop tune. I mean, Gaga did this kind of music. She did this with The Fame. That's really what this album's getting so many comparisons to. It's like new version of The Fame, which is why I think a lot of people are connecting with it so much. And that is what she's doing here. This is Just Dance gonna be okay. It's one of those nights. She's going back to that. And this I do love. So ESPN teased this song a bit before the album came out and said it would be their theme for their Formula One season coverage, which I love that they're just making the Formula One a little gay. Like, thank you, ESPN, for doing that. But either way, I just really enjoy the song. It's a very fun throwback dance tune that we don't always hear all the time, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, it has a young sound to it. It's funny going through. I read a quote that I marked. Alexa Camp at Slant Magazine had gone ahead and said it. She felt like it was an attempt to revive the messy party girl shtick, and I don't think that it is shameless in its portrayal of that. I think it is a true and honest take on it. I don't care that it sounds like it's from a pop star that could be half her age. That doesn't matter to me. This is what she does, and this is a very, very strong track. This is one that I've had a lot of fun going through and picking apart musically, and just on a production level as well. It's almost flawless in its portrayal of what it is, and I dig it, man. I can see why ESPN gravitated towards it. It's super, super catchy. Not even in like an earwig sense, in a just you really perfected the hook on this one. And there's so much going on in the composition of the song. I dig it. This is a standout track on the album for me. And it's not even my normal style of what I enjoy, but this is a cool track. And pacing wise, I don't think this at this point, first listen, it felt like this album was never going to stop. Like it was just going to keep going and going and going with its energy, and we'll see if it does.
Yeah. Lady Gaga herself did say that the next song was a bit of a shift in energy for the album. It's a pretty key track here. Perfect Celebrity. The album was actually originally titled this because the
Okay.
original idea was to go more in the direction of this song, which is best described as electro grunge. And hearing this, yeah, this really, I mean, she makes it her own, of course, but I definitely just lyrically and somewhat sonically, this gives me a big Courtney Love vibe.
Ugh.
That's really what I get from what she's singing about here, like doll
I hear.
parts, perfect celebrity.
Yep.
That's what I'm hearing, and I'm glad that they didn't make the whole album in this title, in this style. I think it could have gotten tired if every song sounded like this. But for this one song, it really does hit the mark. And what's interesting is Gaga said that she's really kind of singing about anger at herself just as much as the media. Because it's like, I'm playing into this role of being the perfect celebrity. And it's like she's examining her place in the machine, as we'd like to call it. And I do appreciate that self awareness. I don't think we always get that from pop stars. And she's giving it to us, which I really do appreciate. And I think that makes this song rise above being just a rote subject matter because she's done this before. I mean, the last album had Plastic Doll, which is kind of a similar lyrical concept, if not definitely not sonic, because that one was produced by Skrillex. This is not a Skrillex song at all, but like I do think that it hits a bit harder and isn't just a tired thing because of that anger at herself in the song.
No, I'm with you. When I was first, again, I went into this totally blind, but I had seen spatterings that there was this grunge vibe on this album, and I was interested to see how that played out. I'm glad to see it play out like it did here. I can see where you're going with the Courtney Love. I'm just not big on hearing her name. It was cool to see. It was cool to see Gaga's quote that she was inspired by the Cure here, and that kind of mindset going through, and you feel it. The fact that she had gone out and said like this song had been inside her for like 15 years, you can see that too, and it speaks to where this album musically, I'm sorry, this song musically hits. It's cool. It really is cool. I'm with you where I'm glad that we didn't get this as a whole concept for an album. I think it would have worn out its welcome very quickly. But this song does not wear out its welcome, especially in the four spot here. It changes a little bit of the vibe, but not enough to take me out of the album or to take me out of the listen at all. I think it adds a little bit of spice, if you will, here where we were in pure Gaga land, so it gives us a sense, or it gives us a chance to have a breath. For the sake of the album here, whether it is a full breath or a half a breath is determined by the listener on this one, but it fits and it does its job well. I like this song, I really do.
So do I. And the turning point in the night, I think, really continues with track 5, which is Vanish Into You, which was the first song written for the album, according to her. And it's about just wanting to disappear into your love, but it has a very reflective tone for it. This one's a bit sad, even though it works as a dance song. This song for me is the point in the night when you're thinking about calling your ex. That's what this song is to me. But I dig it. I think it's very real. It's a very pretty song. It's got a nice combination of pathos and joy like only Lady Gaga can do.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the theory that some people are saying that it's a shout out to Tony Bennett here, and that there's musical stylings inside that are reminiscent of some Bennett stuff. I can see that aspect of it too. Um, it's wild how I won't say like full sadness, but there's sad emotions that are brought up by this tune, and I like how you say that. That it is a sadder song, but it still works in a on a dance element here, where it's almost for me like she doesn't lose herself inside of this sadness. She's still Gaga, even though she's feeling this somber tone that we ultimately get here. This being the first track written for the album, I won't say you hear a lot of the album here, but you hear the early workings of where she was going, and it's something that's true to her heart. So it's cool to see that this was the building block for the album. Um, this I'm trying to find a fault in the pacing here, and I can't. I mean, even when you get down to the naked piano at the end of this song, it fits. This album is rolling along in such a really well done way, and I'm happily, I won't say surprised, I'm just happy with the way it's going as so far first listen.
So am I. Most definitely. And we're really going to make a shift, though, now with the most unique song on the album in terms of just how it sticks out, which is Killa. This one was produced by Gaga, who gets a featured credit. He's done solo work. He's also pretty known for his songs with The Weeknd. And this is a very funky song. The two people that keeps getting compared to the most are Prince and Bowie. I can hear both of those, a bit more so Bowie. This is very fame coded to me. That's really what that guitar reminds me of. I think the most Prince song here actually comes a bit later in the album. And this one seems to be a bit polarizing. There's some folks who don't really like it. And I can see why, because it is different than the other tracks on the album. But I really enjoy it, because I love the sound that she's going for, first of all. I love the funky guitar on it. And it's just a very confident song with a lot of swagger to it. She did this one on SNL, so clearly it's a favorite of hers that she's wanting to push, which I appreciate. And I won't say it's like my favorite on the album, but I do really enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I thought you would see more Prince here. I do. Immediately, I heard Prince. Another one that I immediately heard, and I don't know if this is everybody's opinion, but I hear Trent Reznor in here. I hear some old Nine Inch Nails, maybe some of his newer works, but I hear a bit of that, and I like that. I dig that sound. I think for her, this is a sound that I don't know if I've ever really heard her do, and I dig it. I really enjoyed this track. At first, I thought I wasn't like, first 10 seconds, I was like, ew, what do we got here? But this song really explores this, I guess, electro funk, I think is what they're stylizing, industrial too. But it really embraces it, and it adds this beautiful tone on top of it. I guess the Prince ness comes, and I can see, I love how you just blew my mind with the fame um overlay here, because really the high guitars, the in it just reminds me of Prince automatically, and the way that she handles her vocals on top of that just reminded me of Prince. But I can now, I'm literally listening to it as we speak, and I can really hear those fame vibes. I didn't get Bowie at first on this, and I dig that. That's a cool thought there. But this one rocks, man. This one I could see in like a video game soundtrack. You know, it really, I say that in the highest regard. It's a pump up tune, and it gets me going. I enjoy this one. This is the hidden gem for me on this album. One that I definitely first 10 seconds was like, no way. And then now I keep going back to this track a lot, so I dig it. Again, I'll stay on pacing. As much of a style change as we have here, still first listen, I'm not taking out of the album. I am 100% still going with this. So good on everybody so far.
Yeah, you're not the first person who's been reminded of Nine Inch Nails on this one, actually. I have seen that comparison too. I've seen
Heard,
so many potential references here, it's hard to keep track of them all.
heard.
Just scrolling through, you see so many. This reminds me of this, but I think that's a credit to Lady Gaga's artistry to be reminded of so many different great bands and styles of music.
Yeah.
But we're really going to go away from the more industrial rockish kind of stuff with the next track, which is Zombie Boy. This is a tribute to her friend Rick Janest, who was tattooed like a zombie. He appeared with her in the video for Born This Way. He's right, Dexter. It was a pretty distinct part of that video, actually. And he passed away in 2018. And interestingly, this is not a somber song at all. It's a dance song. My first thought, and I wasn't the only one, it sounds quite a bit like her bonus track from the Fame Disco Heaven, which means, yeah, this is disco. And I thought, okay, that's what we're going for here. But it really is a fun, happy song. And it's like, yes, I'm sad that you're gone, but like, I'll see you in my dreams kind of thing. And she's happy about it. Like, she's having a good time. This is one you can dance to. And some of the sadness can go over your head a bit because it's so upbeat and danceable. But it is that bit of sadness that keeps me coming back to it because that's so real. Like, like I'm going to pay a tribute and like I'm glad I knew you and you're my zombie boy. Like, I'll always have, like, the bridge for this one really hits me hard. She just really goes there on it. And this is one of, like, top 5 for the album for me. This is one I've gone back to quite a bit. I really enjoy this one.
Yeah, I don't know if it's top 5 for me. It's a grower. I have a problem. I have a problem. I have many problems, but I have a problem with this one first listen because for me, I thought I was getting a revamped Hollaback Girl. And it came right out of the gate, Hollaback Girl, and I was like, oh shit. And then for me, it switched to this disco, like this really high end, not high end so much, but like really clean disco. It got me like some Chic La Freak here, and I got those vibes coming in too. And that was my beginning problem with this song, trying to find a Gaga in there. But by the time you get to this track, and this is why it's a grower for me, and I keep going back to it. It's a beautiful song. And then to find out that it's a tribute really adds a level when you go back and read and listen to the narrative here. It's cool, man. It's cool how she spins a really positive vibe on something that could be somber, looking back at a friend that passed. This is a neat one. I dig this. I am over the Hollaback Girl start of this one, and this is in there. This one made its way into my playlist actually because it just has so many cool musical components to it. I dig this song, and for almost like a halfway point, or is it a perfect halfway point? Yeah, or pretty much a perfect halfway point. This is a cool way to do it. I can picture this as a side flipper. I'm not sure if this is the end of the first side of the album, but I could see this as a flipper.
It's the beginning of side 2.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
heard that. I could see that as well. I could see that as well. Um, maybe not as strong as an Ender from me, but it doesn't
Well,
take away from the vibe and the pacing of the album at all.
well, on another edition, it might be the side ender because I got the version from her store with an extra track on it.
Dig it.
And there's a Target version with an extra track on it at a different spot in the album. She didn't just tack them on at the end, the
Oh
bonus
wow,
tracks,
that's
which I
cool.
thought was very cool. I like that she did that.
Yeah, because think that's so cool. I don't know if that's unique to her. I don't know if there have been other additions like that, but I love that because those bonus tracks make a new listening experience. I think that's a cool way. I don't know. Do you know of any albums that have taken that route as far as like putting their bonus tracks inside of the album?
I'm I can't think of one off the top of
Yeah,
my head, but I'm sure they exist. But
that's
it's
neat.
not the most common practice.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but next up, we've got. Speaking of songs from the fame, the title of this song immediately is going to remind you of one of her earliest hits, Love Drug. And as soon as I saw this, about, oh, Love Game, of course. And that was just such a hot button song at the time because I was like in middle school when that came out. And I remember wondering like what's a disco stick, and then I heard what that was, and I like it just hit puberty, so I thought that's disgusting. Oh my god, what is wrong with Lady Gaga? Like that's horrible. Like, oh my goodness. I mean, it now I think it's like just a fun, catchy pop song, despite that lyric. But this one does not have any lyrics about the disco stick in it, and it doesn't really sound like Love Game. It actually has a kind of an arena rock feel to it, I've seen noticed, and I can hear that here. I wouldn't put this in the top half of the album for me, but I do think it's a solid song that keeps the album going nicely, and I do think it's another song that, again, reminds you of the debut album, much like the previous one did. And it just kind of shows what she's going for here with the kind of evolved sound of the fame. And this song does fit into that nicely, so it's a solid tune.
Yeah, I'll give it solid tune. It's definitely not in the top of the album for me. I'll be a little hard on her on this one, and there are places inside of this composition that I won't say are empty, but are emptier than what I expect from her. And I love when she strips it down, but this one just falls flat for me in my opinion. As far as the rest of the album goes, it's definitely not the strongest, I'll say that. It's not a bad song. It's a good song, but it's not. The bar has been set so high coming through this album so far that this one I'll give even a little palate cleanser a note here, only in the fact not on our normal where it's like a little short one, but this one is just like an okay, not a skipper, but a potential skipper for me. That being said, it doesn't necessarily stop the pacing of the album. It doesn't stop the pacing of the album. You're still dancing. It's just not my favorite track on here, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I will say, if you are going to play this album on streaming, it's not hard to want to skip this track to get to the next one, in my opinion. The next track, we're at track 9. It's How Bad Do You Want Me, with You Just One Letter, just like Prince. I love that, just like he did it. Um, Lady Gaga said this was almost left off the album in her appearance on the Las Culturistas podcast with Bowen Yang and Matt Rogers, because she said it was just like almost too poppy, but fortunately she didn't. I've seen two big references for this. The one lesser I've seen because it's lesser known is a lot of people are saying this sounds like Yazoo's Only You. So, an 80s synth song, that makes perfect sense. But the other big comparison I keep seeing, they've even already made an AI version of her singing this song. It's Taylor Swift, 1989 Reputation era. Tay Tay. And I totally hear that, and that's kind of why I love it so much, because that's you can't do better than Pop Taylor. I mean, 1989 is my favorite album of hers, so of course I love this song. And for first listen of this album, I like went back and replayed this song at least 5 times, and eventually was like, okay, actually, you do have to listen to the rest of the album, but I just couldn't get enough of it, and I still can't get enough of it. This is now one of my go-tos for a Touch Tunes jukebox when I'm out, because I love this song so much. It just, I saw it described as The Fame meets 1989, and that's just a perfect description for me. And it still does sound like a Lady Gaga song. It doesn't, I've heard some people say this is too much like Taylor. I'm like, no, I think it's a good synthesis. They've both been very influenced by 80s pop at different times, and that's what we're getting here. So I really enjoyed this song a lot. I'm obsessed with it. It's my most played song of the year, and I'll be pretty shocked if that changes.
Yeah, I think the comparisons to Taylor on this one are justified. I think you can see, if anything, inspiration. But then I ask, like, who are we as musicians not to listen? And we're sponges. We're gonna soak up everything, and whether or not it comes out where the listeners think it sounds too much like a Taylor Swift song is really not of consequence here, because it's a great song. It really is. Yeah, it touches on a bunch of stuff, but I mean, we've been talking about musical inspirations that we've heard throughout this album. I think it would be silly to think that Taylor Swift isn't in there, especially like you said, where they share inspirations from 80s pop. This song is so well done, man. It's so well done. It's very close to a perfect pop song, in my opinion, and I dig it. I think you could have put this in the start of the album and really lost a little bit of the hit of the start of the album. I think it's perfectly placed, and I'm with you. It's one that I go back to. I enjoy this song. It's not necessarily my most played, but but this is a good one, man. This is a really, really well done pop song, and I can see why. Maybe more so by reading and listening to what she said on the podcast. I can see why, especially for a musician that really, I'll say, overthinks, or has the propensity to overthink and over really over analyze her music. I could see why you might end up taking this off, because it almost sounds too perfect. And for me, it is very, very close to a perfect, if not a perfect, pop song. So I'm glad she left this on there. I'm with you, and it hits, man. Again, I'm looking for a falter in pacing here, and I'll be damned if I've found one yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, as such a big fan of both Gaga and Taylor, I think that's a big part of why this song hits so much for me, because honestly, I like this song better than anything on the Tortured Poets department.
Heard that.
So,
Heard
I
that.
think that's part of why it's my most played. I was like, this is actually what I wanted last time a bit and didn't get, and now I have it. So,
Heard that.
very glad this song exists. And I like this song so much, I almost feel bad for the next song, which is Don't Call the Night. It's the song I keep, like, saying I'll listen to it later so I can listen to the previous one again. But, so yes, the song did have to grow on me, but I actually do really like the song. I think this is the opposite of Vanish Into You. It's like, actually, I do not want to hear from my ex or my lover. I just don't. Unless you want to hurt me, that's the only reason you should be calling. And I mean, it does flow well, despite being between, spoiler alert, two major high points of the album. And this one actually is the most Prince-esque song to me on the album. This is so 80s Minneapolis sound to me. That's really what this gives me. And that's just, and of course I'm here for that. I love Prince, so it might not be the most overt comparison, but the more I hear it, the more of that sound I hear. And it maybe even a bit more so, not so much Prince himself, but like the stuff he produced for other people, like Sheila E. or The Time, like that kind of sound, maybe a bit more so.
Heard that. I wasn't expecting the Prince shout out here. I was intrigued to see which song you were going with. I don't necessarily get as much. I can sort of see the Sheila E. stuff here. This, at first, my first note on this is Alejandro vibes. And I get a little bit of that through, but that first note is a little bit lost after multiple listens. Um, I dig this track. I dig this track. I think this one, if anyone, suffers with placement, but it's impossible. I've tried to flip it around inside of the track listing. I think there's not another place for it. It's strong enough to hold here, but it for me it does. It gets overshadowed by the previous and the future track here, or the next track. So it's a good song. It really is. She belts it out in this song, especially on the stripped down parts where we get almost like a screaming vocal from her, and I love it. Um, I dig this, man. I dig this song. I have nothing bad to say so far on this album, and I like that. I like that. I don't enjoy saying bad critiques, and I'm glad because I'll go all the way back to the start of this album. First listen, I wasn't sure what we were going to get here, and we've got way more of a varied take and really an expression of love of her craft throughout this all the way so far. So I dig it, and Don't Call It Tonight is up there for me too.
Yeah, much unlike The Fame, which was front loaded with all of the hits, this
Heard.
album is not front loaded with all of the hits, which I really appreciate.
Agreed.
And yeah, we did spoil the next song for a reason. It's Shadow of a Man, which is really a song about just her place in music. Like, she's a very successful woman in the industry, but you often are standing in the shadow of a man. And it's a good critique, and it's a critique she's able to make, because there have been times we've seen even on the show we cover where she's done some critiques that were a bit out of her depth, like Angel Down or Americano. Those weren't really topics she had the most firsthand experience with to write an effective tune about it, but this she definitely does. And yeah, she manages. This sounds like a Michael Jackson song. It's so bad coded. And I'm here for it, especially those backing vocals. I can't get enough of this song either. Um, this is in like my top five for the year, and it might go even higher. Like number two behind How Bad Do You Want Me? I really dig this song a ton. And you could even like not even realize she's singing about something so heavy because the song's just so much fun to dance and sing to.
Yeah, and she's staying on that vibe through this album. Like any of the, I won't say any, but a lot of the somber narratives are behind these super awesome dance vibes. You stole the words right out of my mouth. This is the Michael Jackson track of the album for me. Whether it's the guitar parts, whether it's the backing vocals, this is really has the tones of Michael to me, and I love that. This one I wasn't expecting either. I this is another hidden gem for me. This is one that I keep coming back to because musically it's so sound, it's so airtight, and it you're dancing, man. Again, I love it a little bit more, and I'm okay with saying this because it reminds me of a Michael Jackson song, almost in the vein of "How Bad Do You Want Me" sounded, if you must, like a Taylor song. I really get a lot of Michael here, and I dig it. Going in the latter third of this album, still beautiful pacing and a hidden nugget gem right here. Again, we're not front loaded. This is turning out to be quite the album.
That it is, but we're really going into this final segment. We're really actually going to take the pace down with what is the slowest song on the album, The Beast. This one I'm going to have to give a quote directly from Gaga because this is such a interesting track. She said in her Zane Lowe interview, which you absolutely should watch, that was he does a lot of pop star interviews. I think the one he did with Gaga is the best that I've seen because she's just such a good interview subject when she talks about just her artistry. It's great to watch, I think, and she's very engaging. But about this song, she said, quote, "The beast is me, or like someone singing to a lover that's a werewolf. But what I actually believe about this record is that's also about Michael and I. This song is about me and being Lady Gaga, like what the beast is, who I become when I'm on stage, and who I am when I make my art," unquote. Michael is her fiance, Michael Polanski. He co-wrote quite a few songs on this album too, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
And just, I think that's a brilliant metaphor, like to say you're the beast. And it's a really cool song. It does have that gothic feel to it that I keep wanting to come back to. It's a really neat song, and it's got that nighttime feel with it by she keeps repeating 11:59, like we're right before midnight, and just adds to that just classic horror kind of vibe of this song, which I really dig. This is a really neat song. It's definitely not like the most fun to dance to, but it's very atmospheric, and I love going back to the place this song takes me.
Man, I love where you're at on this. I'm 100% with you on grabbing the gothic horror vibes and really embracing the real reason for this song. You know, the real narrative inside of it, and I dig it. At first glance, this might take a listener out of the album, but I implore everybody to just sit with it. This one is, for me, at first glance, it has the propensity to sound the most empty. But when you really get down with this song, it is very, very powerful. It's very, very well put together. Narrative and composition together is just flawless, and the production on this song is top notch. It really is. There's so much in this story, and I say story not as just the narrative. The way that this song builds, breaks down, builds itself up again, with these really, really horror inspired vibes is genius, especially for a latter third of the album where we're accustomed to a crescendo, to like an epic finale. It almost feels out of place, but when you really listen and get down, or when I really got a chance to listen and get down with this, I couldn't think of it in any other spot. This is I know I've said it, but this is another hidden gem where I'm like, oh man, the numbers aren't there. Why not? And really, this one is not spoon fed to you, and I dig that. I dig that, especially this late in the album. I dig that.
Most definitely. And it's a bit different for one of her albums because usually you are going to a bigger finale for a Gaga album, but this is we're getting something a bit more sedate actually, and I think that really is exemplified with the next track, which is Blade of Grass, which Gaga said was about her ideal marriage proposal, which, because she's engaged now, so she's at a very different place in her life. And this is a really pretty song. I mean, because she's a classically trained piano player, and she knows how to write a beautiful track like this. I feel kind of bad saying this because this is her love song. It's not one of my top Lady Gaga ballads, and I get a lot of the best ones are heartbreak tunes. It's like, oh, I don't, and I'm glad she's happy. Trust me, this is just a pretty song, but it is more subtle than a lot of the big Gaga ballads. Like, this is not like an epic showstopper on the level of a Shallow or A Million Reasons, but it's not supposed to be because this is her now, and she's at this point bringing an end to the mayhem, which is her concept here. And in that regard, this really does work. Um, and I'm glad that it's not the album closer. I'll
Yeah.
say that. But I think it's a pretty song. I'm glad it's not the end, though.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. This is it fits concept so well that I think, in my opinion, some listeners could be off put by the sedate feeling of the latter third of this album, including Blade of Grass. I love it. I won't say it's one of my favorite Gaga ballads, but it's up there because of her choices here. These major chords that she starts off with, for me, had a very high propensity to be cookie cutterish, but she chooses to do these minor changes inside of what, I'm just speaking for me, for what I expect, like just subconscious listener, as far as the way her chord structure starts off to where it throws me for a loop. And she does that quite a few times in this song, whether it be with just her vocals or her vocals and the choice of piano chords. It's really well done. This is an intricate dance musically, and I'm glad I got it here towards the end of the mayhem. And I like that not only just for the sake of the concept, but it's a powerful penultimate for me, and I think it really sets us up. We don't. I won't go spoilers here, but it sets up correctly. I really enjoy it. I find myself coming back to this one. I know this is one of the least streamed songs on this album. I dig this one. I dig this one a lot. There's a lot of power behind this song. Well done, Gaga. Well done.
Yeah, definitely well done. And now we end the mayhem with Die With a Smile, her duet with Bruno Mars. This song came out all the way back in August, and it's been an inescapable hit ever since then. And it won a Grammy, so it's one of those kind of things. And Disease was announced as the lead single, so I was definitely under the impression that this would be a one-off collaboration. That was just all it was. I didn't think it was intended for an album, and honestly, I felt like it was more of a Bruno song than a Gaga song upon first listen, even though she was credited first. But Gaga said it was always intended for the album, and at first I thought, okay, I think that's a machine move because Disease underperformed a bit. But actually, funny enough, this is not a tacked on hit to the album. This really works as an album closer and an end to the mayhem. So regardless of why it was put here, it was definitely recorded during sessions for this album because she said she completed 50 songs for it.
Wow.
And it works as a closer beautifully, and I loved the song as soon as I heard it. I immediately thought, this is Silk Sonic meets A Star Is Born, which is what you would want from a Gaga and Bruno song, and I hope they collaborate again, hopefully next time on a funky song, because as we've heard on this album, Gaga can get the funk, and we've known Bruno can get the funk. So that's what I want to hear next time.
I love this song. I love this song the first day I saw it, because I saw it as a video first. You know me, I love me some Bruno. I love me some Silk Sonic. I love me some Gaga, and I love this song, man. This is a missed opportunity for the Joker movie, and I thought this was I thought this was a cut off the soundtrack because, again, I hadn't seen the movie. But Die With a Smile, I mean, Jesus, how much of a missed opportunity, and then her makeup in the video sort of spun me to think that it was coming from that. Long story short, I'm glad it found its place here. This is, even though at first glance it's not a epic finale piece, it is, especially for the mayhem that has just ensued and culminated in this Death with a Smile. This is a really, really fitting ending for this album, and it's such a beautiful piece, man. It's this is such a great song. The moment that I heard this, it went into my playlist. So I didn't realize it was on this album. This is the only one that I was not blind and very happily surprised when I got to the end of the album and this was on here, because I was not expecting it. Such a cool way to end this album.
Yeah, I'm glad it's on the album too. I was a bit hesitant about it at first, and I'm definitely glad it's here instead of Joker or Harlequin. Because even if it would have fit the concept, that's not what they chose to do. They chose to do standards, and this wouldn't. It would have stuck out too much. It actually fits here a lot better than there.
Agreed. Agreed.
So, yeah, I'm glad we have it here. And as for those bonus tracks, I have heard both of them. I did get the vinyl version from her store with the track Can't Stop the High. It comes after Perfect Celebrity. Makes sense. It has a similar electro grunge sound to it. I don't think it's not as lyrical as Perfect Celebrity, but it's a cool tune. It shows kind of the original direction for the album. And then the other one is Kill for Love. That comes after Don't Call Tonight. Very disco. My first thought on it was first thought I had was like Sister Sledge, which is produced by Chic. So that gave me a lot of that vibe. Maybe even a bit of Daft Punk Random Access Memories with the vocoder. They're both cool tracks. I don't think they're on the level of the rest of the album, but I do enjoy them. They're not throwaways. I do hope we get them on streaming at some point, especially Kill for Love, because I just dig that sound. And I'm sure they will be. Those exclusive tracks always end up there, but if you must, they have been uploaded not officially to YouTube. If you must, go.
Heard that.
Hey, if it were Taylor Swift exclusive track, it would have been taken down immediately. So at least it wasn't this time. Because Gaga knows the music is for the people.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I hear that shade.
Well, I mean, I love Taylor, but they do take that down immediately. It's like, come on.
I hear you.
You're not going to make it available for streaming. People got to listen somehow.
Agreed. Agreed.
That's all I'm saying. So, and also, this is another thing. Gaga definitely could have manipulated her sales with Die With a Smile being on the album and all its streams, but she chose not to. And thank you for that piece of honesty, because not everybody's doing that. Morgan Wallen, with your 40-song albums, he's putting out another one. Asshole. I don't like that when they do that.
Heard that.
It's just manipulative bullshit.
Heard that.
But that's why I said the other day, y'all are wild for that, man. I'm on this train, so I'm on the Gaga train all day.
There you go.
Now we've come to the end. I'm sad it's over. I really love this album.
Yeah. It's a great album. It's tough to stop talking about it because there's so much to talk about. But I think we've covered most of it. We've covered most of it.
Yeah, it hasn't been quite as long as our other Gaga episodes, but sometimes the music just speaks for itself, and this is one of those cases. And I think we're going to be on the same page with this, but what's your grade for the album?
Lady Gaga-Mayhem. I can't say enough good things. I really can't. The pacing, I've beaten that horse the whole way through. I think it was perfectly put together. As far as concept goes, we didn't miss a beat. We started off so crazy and ended with Death and a Smile. There wasn't really any faltering throughout the album. Even the lowest points or the most somber points were still home run hits for me. It is very, very hard not to give this an A. I almost gave it an A plus. I'm gonna go A solely for the fact that it drops just a tad, but it's almost a perfect album. It really is, in my opinion. I'm going A all the way. So pleasantly surprised because I'll say it again, that first hit of Disease, I really thought, oh man, I'm gonna have this one forever. I really thought we were getting reheated nachos, and unfortunately, we did not. This is a real look inside of her love for pop, and really, I'll say it again, her mindfulness of who she is as an artist, and really bringing herself in her evolution so in the forefront, that we get to sit here and dissect and be like, oh, I've heard that, or I remember that. That's for me, that's the true sign of a genius musician, of an icon, is someone who can always dip into any aspect of their sound, make it new, and make hits like this. This is such a great album.
Yeah, I'm at A too. Initially, I was like A minus, but the more I listen to it, the more I'm like, this is an A. It doesn't. Some songs are better than others, but unlike a lot of her other albums, there's nothing here that's such a. Even the ones I really like, there's times when there's a song that's just a major skip for me on her albums. And it drags things down a lot. There's nothing here like that for me, fortunately. So in that regard, it's an A, and I do have a bit of a hot tea take. I'm going to say this now. Everybody was saying 2024, one of the best pop years ever. I'm going to say that Mayhem is better than any of the major pop releases we listened to last year. Definitely on this show, and even ones we didn't cover. Even the ones everybody loved. I will take this album over those any day. Gaga is showing them who's the queen. Like, these other girlies just can't do it. I'm sorry. She did it better than Sabrina Carpenter, Charlie XCX, Taylor, any of them. Like, this is better than any of those albums. And I'm going to stand on that. I love this album.
Yeah, Gaga set the bar high, man, for 2025. It's going to be tough to beat. I very curious to see if we see anybody get to this level as far as a pop album for the rest of the year.
I would be surprised to see it. Of an album of new material, I would be shocked.
Agreed. What's your favorite track on this album?
How Bad Do You Want Me?
Heard that. I immediately want to say Die With a Smile, but I'm taking that out, and Garden of Eden is my favorite on this one. I really enjoy the way that song goes.
It's hard to go wrong with these songs. It really is. I think it is. Indeed. But this album, all this talk of these influences has made us want to listen to some of those influences. We decided that next time, because he came up quite a bit throughout this album, we're going to be going back into our friend Prince. And the album we'll be doing is 1991's Diamonds and Pearls. A bit of a comeback for him at the time, with a new band, the New Power Generation, and some of his most enduring songs. So I'm really looking forward to discussing Diamonds and Pearls next time.
Yeah, man, dipping our toes back into the purple waters. I am excited to get back, especially the amount of Prince that we heard on this album. It adds that level of excitement. So let's do some Prince.
Yes, absolutely. And our Prince episodes are pretty good, if I do say so myself.
Well, first-time listeners, Charlie is a aficionado when it comes to the artist formerly known as. So there's plenty of knowledge. I know I learn every time we do a Prince. So let's do another one.
So do I. And so stay tuned for that, and get your diamonds and pearls ready to listen next time. Take care of yourselves.
Peace.